Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself today. It's another beautiful day for us to be here one more time for Analyze This. Just before we start with today's program, I just want to assure you that we have plans in place to bring back Leadership Academy. It's going to be back soon. So please stay put and be patient. We are going to come back with Leadership Academy and we'll continue on our discussions on leadership in Africa, and leadership as a whole. With that being said, I just want to jump straight to our usual. Creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. I repeat, creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. So don't be blown away and assign creativity and inventions to the color of a skin. That has nothing to do with creativity and inventions. It has everything to do with an educated mind. So educate yourself, enlighten yourself, and be able to create and invent. Again, on this platform, we don't entertain insults because we believe that a leader who wants to exhibit leadership should be a master of his or her emotions. So emotional intelligence is paramount if you're talking about leadership. You cannot execute leadership if you have not mastered your emotions. So we are training ourselves to master our emotions. We are equipping ourselves with that information and with all alertness to be able to master our emotions. That is why we don't entertain insults. And number two, we don't entertain insults here because insults don't solve any problems. They rather make matters worse. They flare up emotions and it does not lead us to solutions. So with that out of the way, we're going to jump straight into today's Leadership Academy. Before I let Prof come in, I'm going to get certain things off my chest before I let the Prof come in, because I know he's ready to fire on. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is the fight in Parliament. It is interesting when a people who are supposed to be writing the laws of the country become lawless. It's a very interesting concept that I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. One thing I realized was the fact that emotional intelligence was thrown out of the window. I'm not going to go into deep, but I'm just on this platform, we talk about leadership. So things pertaining to leadership is what I'm going to be spotting on. And for me, that alone tells me the seriousness of the issues we have at hand for our parliamentarians to fight not over a bill that would change the lives of people, but will fight over how long we have to sit to vet government appointees. And I'll come to the vetting too, because I've heard some people talking about the fact that the vetting is of no importance, whether they fight or not, the people are going to be pushed through, which to some extent it is true. But the vetting is not just to ask people questions. I also heard some argument, people saying they're not asking questions pertaining to their expertise in the areas they're supposed to be functioning, which is also important. But then the vetting, one thing I realized listening to veterans of government appointees and people from across board, that the U.S. Is still doing the same exercise Ghana is doing now. And you realize that they are not just trying to touch on your expertise in the area for which you have been nominated or appointed, but they also want to bring out an issue of integrity, which is for me the most important thing, the issue of integrity. And when I listened, I sat and listened through most of the vetting proceedings in Ghana. Look, I want to say this. I know I've said it again, and I want to repeat myself. And I will say it 1,000 times. I am one person who believes that such people would have to go through the ANALYZ principles. I don't care what anybody says, but listening to the answers, it tells me the lack of integrity. It tells me these are not people of substance. Well, let me say some of them are not people of substance. I'm not going to say everybody because some of the people, I mean, conducted themselves well. And it also tells us we have a problem, a deep-seated problem that needs to be looked at. Again, in Parliament, like I said, I'm just throwing light on the areas which I thought were very interesting. One other issue that came up, which for me was one of the most important issues, was the issue of language. One of the parliamentarians decided to speak Cree, and I heard arguments from various quarters as trying to challenge the basis for which that parliamentarian would have to speak Cree in the House. And I heard some ridiculous statements, which I'm not going to waste my time on, where people are priding themselves in being the masters of the Queen language. You said it right, the Queen's language, which means it is not your language, and you pride yourself in being the master or being I don't want to use that word, but being the master of somebody's language, and for that matter, your colonial master's language. It is true that English is the official language in Ghana, but for me, if we are going to be very serious-minded people, this particular issue should spark a conversation in the house about language. And it would not, for me, I would pray that it would not just stop there, but it will progress from the language used in the house to languages used in the schools, and even redefining the official language of Ghana. If we have to go back to that drawing board, because I know Kwame Nkrumah wanted to introduce Swahili at a point because he had Africa in mind, and it was not successful. So the issue of language is very critical and it's very important, that needs to be looked at. And for me, the whole issue with Parliament throughout the week, the most important part for me is the issue of the language. And I want to say this before I drop the mic for Prof to come in. the role somebody was asking about the role of African Americans um, in the development of Africa. Now that most of the African Americans are being given citizenship in various African countries, and I deem it very important for them not to see it as just an emotional or spiritual connection, but it also have to come with that economic and even political contribution to the development of Africa. It is an opportunity where Africa is stretching its hands to its sons and daughters in the diaspora to come back. So sometimes they should be able to contribute in the discussion going on in terms of fighting against corruption, in terms of making sure the right thing is done. I know some of them sometimes get so disappointed quickly and decide to throw in the towel and return back home. It's a challenging fight, and if we really want to connect emotionally, if we really want to connect spiritually, then we have to connect totally to the motherland and be sure to be a part of the changing process. If you look at the Jews who went back to Israel, they did not just go and connect spiritually or emotionally, but they became part of the whole changing process in pushing Israel to the next level. So I just want to encourage our African Americans. I'm saying this with respect to a particular issue. I know most people may not understand, but there was a backdoor conversation which I'm speaking to specifically. So yes, our brothers and sisters who are coming back home, come, let's build not just emotional connection or spiritual connection, but come and let us contribute. It's going to be challenging. Some of the social and economic issues might be different. It might be challenging, but don't give up. It's part of the fight to lift up the image of the Black man. So in conclusion, again, Parliament, I want to believe that this discussion of language is not going to end there. And the vetting, it's interesting, but I reserve my comments. All I'm saying is I believe the vetting of these people would also have to include the ANALYZ principles, where these people are going to be subjected to that highest level of trust as far as the resources of the nation it's concerned. Because some of the answers I was getting, it's just a joke. It's a joke. Anyway, on that basis, I just want to drop the mic here, and I know Prof is eager to jump in with the bullet. So, Prof.
Yeah, good afternoon and good evening to our listeners. To be frank, I've intentionally not watched any of the fight in Parliament. Intentionally. I've decided not to watch it. It's an eyesore. From all the commentary that I've heard about it, it was not even necessary. But these are the very people who are making laws for our country. And you see this across, you know, Africa. Frustration turns into anger, anger turns into words, and then it turns into a melee for old grown men. You know, rappers are making music out of this long time ago, that it is only in Ghana's parliament that you see old bald men turn into boxes, which is not a very nice thing to say about our lawmakers. It is actually distasteful if they have a chance to listen. What makes it worse is that if you and I were found fighting in parliament and destroying state property, we will be in jail. But there's a different set of laws that apply to these men. So it's a case of animal farm. Two legs good, 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. That's what is happening in Ghana. That's number one. Uh, I'm not even done with number one. If you, the lawmakers, are behaving like this, why then are you surprised when the rest of the country do not respect the laws of the land? Disrespect for any law breeds disrespect and disregard for all laws. So you cannot pick and choose which laws you are going to obey. You see, and my good friend Anal Sebonsi have been repeating it that there are principles that this universe have already put in place that you can decide to align yourself with these principles so that your life goes easy for you, or you can decide not to, and then you bear the consequences. And one of those laws is that disrespect for one law breeds disrespect for all other laws. And when I see you disrespecting some aspect of law and going scot-free, it encourages me to also disrespect the law of the land because I'm going to go scot-free. It is as simple as that. So if our so-called leaders in parliament expect the citizenry to respect the laws that they are making so that they become enforceable, then they should also start respecting the laws themselves. It will give us the impetus to actually respect them and to respect the laws that they make. Let me end there. That's number one. Number two, about the usage of chi on the floor. I don't think there is anybody within the confines of the legislature who doesn't understand chi or cannot speak chi. Beside that point, no country in this world has developed using somebody else's language. We cannot emphasize that enough. You see, we have become a continent that prides itself in elevating a language to intelligence. If somebody speaks Hausa fluently, nobody is going to attach intelligence to it. Somebody speaks Yoruba fluently, nobody attaches intelligence to it. Somebody speaks Dagomba, whatever language, we do not normally attach any intelligence to it. Let somebody speak English or speak French, speak Portuguese, or any other foreign language fluently. As long as that language is not African, then that person must be wise. Where did we lose our ways? I have a friend who is saying that if all the history that you know is colonial history and present day history of Africa, you don't know anything about Africa or African society before the Caucasian came on our continent, you are not even African. You've not found yourself here. We had complex, complicated systems in place before anybody came to Africa. Matter of fact, Africa has colonized Europe twice. But nobody talks about these things because our detractors want us to still believe that we are an inferior race. And that's why anything coming out of us is inferior. That is the dogma. You speak Chi, you are a villager. You came from the farm. You know, When I was doing my O level, I was a science student. I was the only science student doing Chi as one of my options. Everybody else took either geography, French, whatever, all the science students. And even for the arts students, for some of whom a local language was supposed to be mandatory, they were hiding their tree books inside other books. They called it Adieno. That thing. I was proudly exhibiting the fact that I am the only science student doing tree. Matter of fact, tree grammar is much more difficult than English grammar. And that was the reason why I was so good in English grammar. But we live in a society when your kids speaks English, they are intelligent. Your leaders speak English, they are intelligent. But they speak any other local language, they are supposed to be dumb. And until we dissociate intelligence from the ability to speak another language, we are going to still have this problem. And the fact that people who have been elevated enough to become parliamentarians are having this argument tells me, unfortunately, that they are not that intelligent. That is my interpretation. Because what has the language got to do with your ability to do your job as a lawmaker? It has nothing to do with that. We had codes of written law and verbal social law that were far advanced than what you guys have even. Our most of our laws governing Ghana is cut and paste. They are cut and paste. You can go
Yep.
to the English code, to the American code, to the universal laws that govern most societies. They just go cut and paste it. You don't have to be extraordinary to be able to do that. My question is, if you are teaching your daughter how to cook, is it easier to teach it in your local language or in a foreign language that your daughter or your son has to learn in advance before he or she can express herself? And believe you me, when I first came to, when I first traveled abroad as a student, there were jokes I could not get because I did not have the social context to understand those jokes. In the same vein, there are very important aspects of life that somebody will teach you that you will never understand if that somebody is using a foreign language. It has to have contextual meaning for you. And there are certain things you can never express in anybody's language except your own. So I'm also going to say that this argument that they are making, or the intellectual discourse that this will spark, will not end there. South Africans have started talking about this. Kenyans have started talking about this. Nigerians have started talking about this. Ghanaians should be talking about the fact that we need to make our local languages preeminent. China didn't develop speaking English. Japan didn't develop speaking in English. Germany didn't develop speaking English or French. So it is high time we ascribe intelligence to our own selves because self-esteem cannot be found externally. It has to be inculcated within you. That's number two. Number three, the idea that Africans in the diaspora are coming home is a wonderful thing. Matter of fact, this is not the first time that they have been coming home. Dubois was home. Malcolm X was home. A lot of the
Dr.
leadership,
King.
yeah, Dr. King was home. A lot of the leadership of the Pan-African movement actually came home, and they brought with them loads of intelligence. Today, what we are talking about has become a lot more emotional than anything. else. But I know specific individuals who, after they came home on their emotional journey, decided that I'm gonna sit and contribute. They are buying farms, they are buying factories, they are working all over Africa. It's not just in Ghana. And that's a wonderful thing. Let me bring in this caveat because you talked about Israel. I believe our problem is that we have not systematically identified the sort of inflows that we need and then going after those inflows and poaching individuals within those kind of spaces that we actually need. Economically, we have not set up any way to actually streamline people who actually want to come in and help. That is our problem. And that is the duty of each government to streamline the process so that if somebody wants to bring in $1 million, we should be able to accept it and put it to the use that we want to use. If that somebody doesn't even want to live in Ghana or live in Ethiopia or in any other African country, there should be streamlined ways because what the Israelis did perfectly is that they will go out there and poach individuals that they need. As long as you are a Jew, and they already have systems in place that the moment you come in, it's plug and play. You are not coming in and then trying to find your feet. As long as you have a skill and the economic capacity to help, they already have identified areas that you can go and help. When I was in the sixth form, I went to a concert by Culture, Joseph Hill, at the Kumasi Sports Stadium. In the middle of his concert, he stopped all the music and started preaching. He said that the fact that a quarter of Africans are living all over the world has a phenomenon that he described as three-finger jack. Listening to him for a very long time, I did not understand what he meant by that. You have 5 fingers, 2 of them are missing. There is no way you can tie a knot with 3 of your fingers. And he sat us down, and in the middle of his reggae concert, he explained to us that there are 2 fingers of the African missing. And that finger is those in the diaspora. And until we can bring them home and we can all unite, there is a whole lot of things that we cannot do. Because those Africans out there, a lot of them don't even identify as Africans. Bob Marley talked about it. Peter Tosh talked about it. A lot of the reggae musicians talked about it. And there is a confluence of ideas today that no matter who you are, no matter where you were born, as long as you have melanin in your skin, you are a son or a daughter of Africa. And there is the need, first and foremost, emotional need for you to come home, identify with the people that you know. And for those of us also living in the diaspora, we need to understand that we need to not just send money home, but follow the money and allow the money to do the economic work that can emancipate the Black man. Another example, when I went to school in Canada, they treated people from, say, Hong Kong, Japan, differently from how they treated us Africans. Because when the student from Japan or Hong Kong is done with schooling, he's going straight back home because there is a job market ready to employ the person. We Africans, we only go to school and we become refugees because we don't want to go back home. Why? The systems are not in place to hire us. And this is where the African Americans who are coming home, who have a better idea, we need to accept them and we need to allow them to open spots for others to come in and infuse our society with better ideas. I've said this over and over again. When you are in doubt, go back to our idioms. Tikron kwejina. Okay? One mind does not take counsel. For all we know.
Well, for Miss Veronica to understand that is the interpretation he gave.
Yeah.
It's an idiom And he explained, Tikron Kwejina, it means one mind does not take counsel.
Yeah, one mind does not take counsel. And whenever somebody comes into a society with a different perspective, we must take our time and look at that perspective and see if it fits with our culture and societal norms. If it doesn't, we make it fit. We think, we elaborate, we do whatever it takes, as long as it's in the interest of our society. That idea, this is how we've done it forever, it's not true. You are not living the way your forefathers were living. It is not true. And we need to get over that hump. That our resistance to change, we need to get over it. Because these people are coming in with very good intentions. They are black to begin with. Back in the day, and even right now, what the Caucasian did was to come and use us as bean counters and just take our resources and leave. To the point whereby only 3% of our gold resources stays in Ghana. If somebody is coming with economic intent, he is black as you are, wants to help, go into farming, go into architecture, go into computing, why won't you allow that person? A lot of these African Americans are taking citizenship because they want to have the rights to be able to vote, to be able to be part of the conversation. So please, let's put in place the systems that will allow them to stay. And I'll tell my diasporan friends, we live in a very crazy society. You will not find what you are used to in Canada or in America or in Japan or even in Jamaica in any of our African countries. There is a very sharp learning curve. Please learn the right things and come in with the attitude that you are here to stay, you are here to help us build, and together we can build a better Africa. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Prof. Yes, come in with the attitude that you are here to stay, you are here not to help us build, but you are here to help build our own because you're part of the equation. It's not just I'm helping them to build. You're helping yourself as well because you're part of the equation. And one of the things I was so much interested in when you mentioned of the fact that most of them are taking citizenship, and in that sense, it gives them the right to be a voice of reasoning within our society. And so, please, like Prof said, it's not going to be um, an easy flow. There are going to be certain impediments, certain things you're not used to, but just determine that I am here to be a part of the solution to build our father's land. You see, when you see yourself as part of the community, that is what gives you that courage. It gives you that I must say emotional authority to be a part of what is going on. You know, so I was talking to somebody the other time and they were spouting some of the difficulties they're facing in Africa, and I told them that is how the people are living, but that is not how they're supposed to live. And for you knowing how they're supposed to live, take your time and school them, take your time and educate them. It's not going to be easy, but it's doable. You know, it's doable. So even though we are getting the citizenship, it's not just for emotional connection, but it's for nation building. I just want us to have that attitude that we're going back home to build our nation. and that is the only way we can have that moral support to stay through the difficulties. If we don't come up with that attitude, we gonna give up easily. It's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna help them and they don't want my help, so let me leave. No, let us see it as I'm not too good with the Bible verse, but I believe Nehemiah said, let us arise and build our father's land. So you come in as a builder of your father's land. Don't come in as a helper. You're not just a helper. You are a builder of your father's land. And trust you me, some of you may not even come with economic power or may not even come, but you might come with some influence. And that influence would give you the opportunity to be able to speak truth to power, and when you come into the system and you begin to speak truth to power, there are people within the system who are going to support you. There are people within the system who are going to be behind you. And mind you, I was talking to somebody the other time and I said, I'm so excited about one thing Trump has done. I'm so excited about it. Withholding the funds, the aid to, well, I don't care about the other parts of the world, but to Africa. I support.
Don't
I
call
was.
it aid anymore. It's not aid. It's not aid.
I'm trying to be
Go.
politically correct.
No, go to culture. Culture says that anything they call it benefit is bend to fit.
Yeah,
And he likened it to the door of no return in Cape Coast.
mm,
You have to squeeze yourself and you have to go under in order to fit. Anytime these people give you any money, they attach. When I found out that whenever they give the so-called aid for you to do something, they want you to do something that benefit them
of course.
with their people. Their people will come and build the bridge and the road, and
hmm
you pay. So
hmm
what aid? What aid?
So basically, all they're trying to tell you is you have what it takes to build, but you're not using that white substance between your ears. So we are going to use that. We're going to be smart and use you to benefit ourselves.
Exactly.
So for me, that aspect of what Trump just did, I am so super excited. I was talking to a group of people the other time, and they were talking about the fact that, hey, that's going to bring some hardships and what have you. Look, hardship is good. It'll make us think. Go back into history. Every nation, every group of people, every community that has thrived or that has been able to progress did that through hardship. Comfort zone is a killer. And that is exactly what they're doing. They try to put us in a comfort zone where we don't think so they can take advantage of us. And so let the hardship come. We'll find a way through it. Some of these people, some of these whatchamacallit, um electorates are going to be angry enough to kick people out of power and vote into offices people who can think or who can offer solutions. So I I I I, I must say that I'm so excited. You have no idea. And I believe that this is going to put Africa in a place where that white substance between our ears will begin to work because it's gone dormant for a long period of time and it needs to wake up. We before we continue on, I just want to, well, I'm not going to introduce her. Let her introduce herself. Miss Veronica.
Good afternoon. How is everybody?
Good
Um,
afternoon.
my name is Veronica Odzwola. I'm the founder and CEO of One Nija Incorporated, and we try to empower, inspire, and encourage young people to consider their role in our world as global citizens. And when the conversation of global citizenship comes up, we cannot ignore Africa. And I feel like many times when we talk about global citizenship, we do not um, consider Africa. And I was honored to be able to start our organization in Nigeria, Africa. We are building bridges of understanding, like you were talking about earlier, and encouragement for young people to be able to understand America as well as us understanding their lifestyles. And so we've been having different programs to help build those bridges. I was so excited when you guys had the conversation last week talking about young people from different African countries, even talking to one another and getting to know one another. So we open ourselves globally to any young group who wants to work with us, but it's so that they will be able to understand one another and see themselves interacting globally at this stage in history. We're global. We're a global society. So it's important that we understand so that they can do business together and they can understand how to work with people from other places and get other ideas, as you were discussing, so that they can go further. And it starts with our young people. So we really have to instill that bridge in them so that they can move us forward.
Thank you so much. I just wanted you to um, introduce yourself because I probably might have left a whole bunch of stuff out. I might not be able to do justice as you have done. So we are going to be developing programs together with her outfit. So together we'll be able to fulfill that dream of lifting up the image of the Black man. So we are so excited to have our path cross her path because it's I believe that it's going to yield some positive results. With that being said, the final thing we probably will touch on, um, I don't have much to say, but all I'm saying is this is specifically to Ghana. And as we always say, anytime we speak about issues concerning Ghana, it represents Africa because whatever issues going on in Ghana, you can find them in almost all the we have 54 countries, right? You find them in about 53 countries. Or maybe 52. For now, seriously, if well, maybe all right, let me rest my case on the percentage and how many, but whatever you find in Ghana, trust you find it all over in Africa. So if we're talking about resetting Ghana, that's a beautiful slogan. It's a very beautiful slogan, but that would require work. That will require work. We need to overhaul the whole system. I was taken aback a little bit when um during the vetting again, they were challenging the ownership of one of the nominees who claimed he rents his accommodation. And I believe one of the people asking questions was trying to ask him to prove or whether I think he volunteered that I can show you my tenancy agreement. And I believe I might be wrong, but I believe I heard the chairman saying that we're not here to discuss your private matter in public. And I was like, is he serious? Then you have no business in public office, especially when it comes to what you own. If you cannot tell us, I own this, I own that, I own this legitimately, then you have no business being there. And I was so disappointed when I heard that from the chairperson. You know, and I asked myself, is this resetting Ghana agenda going to be possible if we're going to be acting this way? So we need a total overhaul. And one of the things I believe, Prof, you heard about the SIC issue and the money's going to some of these directors. Look, I heard some arguments from various quarters talking about the fact that, oh, the free SHS needs to be canceled and we don't have to give free money to the schools and what have you. And I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed not because free SHS in the first place is not even free. I'm comfortable calling it public funding education, which is very crucial. The public funding education for the primary schools, the secondary schools is very crucial for the development of any group of people. Yes, we may not have money, but if we overhaul the system and decide to clean the mess in the system, let's go the Magufuli way. We'll be amazed at the amount of money we can recoup from the system to support most important sectors like the educational sector. So please, if we are talking about resetting Ghana, we need to clean up the mess. It's a mess. I was sitting and listening to all the amount of money going to one person. And I was asking myself, are we sick? As a people, are we sick? You know, and you come back and tell me that you don't have money to fund the most important section of the development of your community, like education. We're getting all this garbage in places of power because of the mess in education. And so if we want to fix what is up there, we need to fix the educational system. We need to educate the youth. We don't have to school them. We need to educate them. And it's going to take money to educate them. And nobody should be left out because of their financial background or because of the home they come from. So please, I don't want to belabor the point. If we are resetting Ghana, some of these, even like I said, the Magufuli way, some contracts needs to be relooked at. Some whatchamacallit, appointments needs to be looked at, especially some of these directors, the amount of money they're taking, especially if it is not a private entity, and if it's a public entity, it needs to be looked at. Look, if this exercise is being conducted, I don't care if you have a contract for which ends in 2054, whatever, but if that contract does not seem to be a sane contract that will support or that will help the development of the country, it should be canceled. It should be taken to court, whatever it is. You know, so it is important that if we are talking about resetting the Ghana agenda, the mess needs to be cleaned up. We can find the money to support the public funding education for the primary and the secondary schools. We can find the money. The money is within the system. And that is what Trump is telling us. Go clean up the mess, find the money to support your people. I rest my case, Prof.
Yeah, I would love to thank Veronica for what you are doing. These are the kind of individuals that we are looking for on the African continent, not just talk, but actually participate in us trying to rebuild Africa and bring it onto the same level that other continents can boast of. For it is ours. If you have melanin in your skin, that's where you come from. And we are very grateful for your service to the motherland. That said, Nana, I've always said that the first question we should ask ourselves whenever this contest comes up is what kind of society are we building? Because the kind of society that we are building today is the kind of society we will live in tomorrow. So this vetting issue is of utmost importance to me, in as far as a greater proportion of Ghana believe that it is just a show. It is just a show. The people are not there to be vetted. They are there to be paraded. That is how I look at it. Because you don't see any, how many times have you seen anybody's candidacy withdrawn because of the vetting? I've never seen one. Not in Ghana, not anywhere in Africa. That somebody comes to the vetting, and because of the kind of questions that he or she is asked, and the person cannot fully or honestly answer them, the person is withdrawn. I've not seen it. I've seen it elsewhere. I don't like the comparisons, but I've not seen it in Ghana. So those people are there to be paraded to fulfill a constitutional requirement for a constitution that we did not write ourselves, that we somehow impose on ourselves. So if we are going to reset Ghana, or we are going to reset Africa, let's all get serious, okay? We can get serious. We can find men of integrity to do the jobs that needs to be done. We cannot just come and parade our cronies and the people we like, whether they can do the job or not. And while we are talking to the politicians, why don't we talk to the populace? Somebody is put in place as the CEO of a national company, and that person is competent enough to do the job. And the political masses, the so-called food soldiers, say, we don't know him, we don't want him. And they go to the office en masse to destroy stuff and to kick the person out of it. The person that the president of the land has put in place to run an agency.
Has there been any arrests to that effect? Not that I know of, though. I don't know if you've
Bro,
heard of anything.
don't start that conversation right now, because it will take us 20 days to talk about that. So if we as a society want a reset, we want things to be done the right way, we cannot be going against the president when he is making the right and the formal choices that he is entitled to make. And if you are the president and you make a choice, and the masses are saying that, they are not even saying, they are not criticizing it, they are coming in there to remove your choice. That is total disrespect. And if you let it slide, it's on you. It is on you. If you are the president of the land and you make choices, the mandate that has been given to you, and you are making those kind of choices, and you allow hooligans to remove your choice, I believe it's on you. You don't deserve to be the president. That's my take. So if we really want to reset Ghana or to reset Africa, please let us lay down procedures for the betterment of our society. So if you are the chairman of the vetting committee, if you are the speaker of parliament, whatever it is, we are looking for men of integrity, men of competence, men of honesty who can actually do their job.
You
And
left
how
one
do
out,
we?
honorable men
Oh,
and women.
they call themselves honorables when they are doing dishonorable things like fighting in parliament. So the term honorable is actually losing its significance and its power.
It's already lost it.
Well, so let us all put our shoulders to the plow. Let us all endeavor to do the little that we can in the direction of a positive move, and let our leaders lead by example. You see, you were talking about there being money in the system. This thing they call S gratia, I've never understood it. Never understood it. Now, the NDC.
I thought you said I should not introduce something that would not end the program today, and you are introducing S
No,
gratia.
I am only adding to what you say that there is money in the system. And now the NDC has a superpower to actually end it. So I am calling on them with all the talk they did in opposition to actually end this thing and end or at least reduce the level of corruption so that we can find the funds to fund our primary, middle, and secondary school education is a must. No nation on planet Earth that is developed today did that without funding primary education. No country. You can go around the world and give me an example. There's nothing like that. So I will beg my diasporans to come home with the view that they are here to stay and to bring in their best to build the motherland. And I will also talk to our citizenry to accept our brothers and sisters who are coming from the diaspora. This is a very important thing to me. I talk to people all over the world and I let them understand that unless Africa is elevated, if you are an African anywhere in the world, you will not be elevated. I saw that firsthand in Canada because they treat us differently from other people. As long as your nation is on top, they will treat you well. And if you have melanin in your skin, you are African. That's why police brutalize African Americans here, because they know we have no leverage. When Africa becomes a superpower, things will change for Africans everywhere. You don't have to live on the continent, but wherever you are, they will start respecting you. And that's my submission.
Yep, you're right, because China was one of the voices that forced Biden to put in the law, which was preventing people from, I don't want to use the word lynching, but
Yeah,
coming
they were
against, right,
beating
when they,
Chinese
yeah,
people
it
during
was
the
China
COVID.
who put pressure on Biden. So if Africa were to be a superpower, what's happening with police brutality and what have you going on, they can put in their 2 cents and say, hey, you got to treat our people well by introducing a law to protect them. So you said it right. Africans all over the world needs to understand, no matter where you find yourself, or Black people all over the world. I call them Africans because once you said you have the melanin, that's your home, would have to understand that you are going to be respected if Africa is a force to reckon with.
Exactly.
Africa is going to be respected if Africans all over the world are forces to reckon with. On that note, Miss Veronica, if you have any contribution or final submissions before we close the curtains.
No, thank you for having me.
You
You're
are welcome.
welcome. Alrighty, on that note, I'd want to thank everybody for being a part of Analyze This today. We are going to be here next week, same time, to continue our discussion. So please make sure you share, invite a friend to invite a friend. Until then, my name is Nana Osei Jr. and my co-host.
I'm Kwajo from Pong.
And we had our beautiful guest, Miss Veronica Jordan. Thank
All
you.
right.
And we'll catch you up on the flip side.